Hey, before we get started, welcome to Individual Perspective Podcast. But we're going to kind of cut in here real quick and give an announcement. I guess, I have to give it because it's substantial, so let's just cut on in. Well, we just got a little breaking news, I could say. Well, in my little world of podcastery, it's breaking news. You know what I mean? So let's just come on in.
Rosalind Carter died in November 2023 at 96. Carter was a peanut farmer from Plains, Georgia, who wore sweaters.
Okay, sorry about that. I want to make sure everything is clean here. Clean intro. Okay.
November 2023 at 96. Carter was a peanut farmer from Plains, Georgia, who wore sweaters and had a down-home manner. He served in the Navy before turning to politics, first as a Georgia state senator and later as governor of the Peach State. Carter was elected president in 1976 in the wake of Watergate, defeating incumbent Gerald Ford. Carter's term was marred by domestic and foreign issues. He faced several economic challenges, including high inflation and gas shortages. He also struggled with problems overseas, most notably the Iran hostage crisis. Carter lost his 1980 bid for re-election to Ronald Reagan in a landslide. After leaving the White House, Carter devoted his post-presidency to humanitarian efforts. He focused and founded the Atlanta-based Carter Presidential Center to promote human rights across the globe and won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2002. He also worked extensively with Habitat for Humanity, volunteering to build houses well into his 90s. In February 2023, the Carter Center announced that he was receiving hospice care in his home at Plains, Georgia. Special report anchor Brett Baer takes a look back at Jimmy Carter's life, presidency, and legacy.
I, Jimmy Carter, do solemnly swear.
After the political trauma of Watergate, Jimmy Carter's squeaky clean Baptist background appealed to many Americans. As if to demonstrate there was a new way of doing things in Washington, he began his presidency on a frigid January day in 1977, walking instead of riding the length of Pennsylvania Avenue from the Capitol to the White House, the first president ever to do this. Born in Plains, Georgia in 1924 to peanut farming parents, Carter attended the Naval Academy, earning the rank of lieutenant. In 1946, he married Rosalind Smith and returned to Plains in 1953 to run the family farming business. It was there that Carter developed an interest in politics. He was elected state senator in 1962 and governor of Georgia in 1970.
I am a candidate for president.
When he announced plans to run for president in 1974, Carter was largely an unknown, but he managed to win his party's nomination and edge out incumbent President Gerald Ford by just 2% of the popular vote, one of the closest margins in recent history. President Carter's greatest triumph came in 1978, when he brokered marathon diplomatic talks between Israel's Menachem Begin and Anwar Sadat of Egypt. The resulting Camp David Accords ended years of fighting between the two countries.
We've got to stop crying and start sweating. Stop talking and start walking. Stop cursing and start praying.
The late 70s were a time of oil shortages, high unemployment, and double-digit inflation. Carter worked diligently to solve these problems, but the economy slipped into a recession. Then an event that would dominate the remainder of Carter's presidency. Iranian militants captured and held 52 American embassy employees hostage in Tehran. Unable to negotiate their release, Carter ordered a rescue mission, which ended in disaster. 8 American servicemen died when their helicopters collided in the Iranian desert.
Americans in Iran were mistreated.
In 1980, voters rejected Carter's bid for a second term. And to add insult to injury, on the day he left office, the American hostages in Tehran were released to the new Reagan administration. Carter returned to Georgia and through his nonprofit Carter Center remained active in efforts to promote peace around the world. His efforts were successful, and he garnered more respect after he left office than while he was in it, despite countless controversial statements in recent years, including calls for the U.S. to legitimize the terror group Hamas, which is openly committed to the destruction of Israel. He helped convince Haitian military dictator Raoul Cedras to relinquish control of the island nation to elected leader Jean-Bertrand Aristide. He monitored elections in Nicaragua and helped end a standoff over inspection of nuclear facilities between the U.S. and North Korea. Carter was often seen with hammer in hand, building homes for the poor as part of his continuing support for the Habitat for Humanity project. He wrote countless books, including one book of poetry and a memoir. In May 2002, Carter took his first but not last trip to Cuba, the first American president to visit in more than 40 years. He called for the U.S. to end its trade embargo while challenging Fidel Castro to institute democratic reforms. Later that year, the former president won the Nobel Peace Prize for, quote, his decades of untiring effort to find peaceful solutions to international conflicts. During a trip to the Middle East in the summer of 2009, an alleged assassination plot by an al-Qaeda-linked group was uncovered, though the president's aides said they had no knowledge of the plot against him. In the summer of 2010, Carter traveled to North Korea, successfully securing the release of an American citizen who had been sentenced to 8 years of hard labor after allegedly entering the country illegally. Upon his return, Carter advocated the need for a comprehensive peace treaty with the isolated country, arguing Pyongyang was ready to talk and that the U.S. should come to the table. Carter didn't hesitate to criticize the only other living president to be awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, denouncing President Obama for carrying out widespread drone strikes and warrantless wiretapping. He also said the Obama administration waited too long to respond to the rising threat of ISIS. Just months later, Carter announced he had melanoma that had spread to his liver and brain, tackling the diagnosis with a measure of faith and fortitude. Through his cancer treatment, the former president remained active, continuing his charitable and religious activities.
I don't know what the results will be, but I'm ready for whatever comes.
Months later, he was declared cancer-free. He continued to hammer away at his charitable work with Habitat for Humanity all the way into his 90s.
I feel like we always get more out of it than we put into it, although we work sometimes very hard and overwork on occasion.
And in one of his last major public appearances, made a show of bipartisanship, joining 4 other living presidents at the funeral service of George H.W. Bush in 2018. Second chances. James Earl Carter thrived on them.
I've had a wonderful life. I've had thousands of friends, and I've had an exciting and adventurous and gratifying existence.
And over time, Americans developed a renewed appreciation for a man who resoundingly lost a re-election bid. This gentleman farmer from Plains, Georgia, who rose to become the 39th president of the United States. In Washington, Brett Baer, Fox News.
Okay, so they praise him, and I understand that because he passed 100 years is pretty much, the body is useless almost pretty much in your hundreds. Even if you go to 100, 105, 110, if you're lucky to go to 120, which that's a rare situation for a human body, in the last, I'll say the last 1,000 years or something. But 100 years is a lot of years. That's borrowed time. You get, like, you got extra time, you know what I mean? So he lived a full life. Jimmy Carter and like the 39th president, they are giving him accolades, but every single president and every major debate and every single comparison, they always say that he's one of the most failed presidents and the most unsuccessful and incompetent presidents in the last like 70, 80, 100 years and stuff. So it's not really his presidency ain't that great. If you compare it to the Carter presidency, you know that you did bad. And they compared even Joe Biden to the failed presidency of Jimmy Carter and said that he did worse than Jimmy Carter, so Jimmy Carter happy because he's not the worst president anymore. That's how they characterize Jimmy Carter, and because he's passed, and even if by him passing, you see in all acolytes, his library and his and all kind of stuff for a felt president. So that just lets you know, if you become a president, you're powerful. You're powerful, no matter if you had a good presidency or you're bad. You're in the eyes of history, and no matter liberals and conservatives, you're looked at as a value of society because you was a president. So that's why Trump had to get a second presidency, because he can't be linked to Biden and Jimmy Carter. That's just ridiculous. No one-term crazy stuff. Nah. Just like we gave it to President Obama to guarantee that we got a first black president for 2 terms, we had to give it to Trump to make sure we get what we want both times. So that's how you. I know I'm making it contentious, but like even like just like I remember during the summer watching some footage of him just be wheeled around, and it was like, yeah, it's checkout time. I think I got some footage on that. He was like very physically frailed, and where he couldn't even really, it's just like he was almost lifeless and everything. So yeah, it's enough. It's enough. No need to wheel him around and have him living a life like that. He's pretty, his genes was pretty strong, but even just you could just see that he's, you know, it's a mess. He's kind of very lifeless. So just wanted to kind of make sure you guys understand the context of, you know, of all this, you know what I mean? So it's Jimmy Carter. He passed, and he died today, 100 years old. I don't even know if I want to sit here and say, may we all be so lucky. I don't think you want to live to 100 years old. Trust me. It just, that ain't pretty. Okay. So let's get to what we're here for. The H-1B visa battle that's going on inside the, you know, conservative Republican Party, and even just the Trump movement. And I got to do the work to put it in context, because you get a lot of podcasters and a lot of people reporting on this, but they don't really give you the data up to date, and I guess I gotta do it. You know, so let's get started. Okay. So let's, you know, I would like to go to Laura Loomer's conversation, because that puts it into context what we talking about here. But I gotta kind of let Indian reporters give the objective, well, not even it's not even objective, because they pretty liberal, but give a contextualness to the conversation, a little bit more. And let me see if I can find it. I got a lot of clips here I gotta play for you guys, and hopefully I can get through this without too much time consumption. But it's a liberal reporter that I think kind of can give us a rhetoric for what's going on. So let me play the clip. We'll walk through it, and we'll get you up to date to all the news. But I'm gonna give you it from India and Indian reporting, because I think they kind of are the people they are the engineers and the mathematics and the physicists that they're talking about, and who's Elon and Vivek are really fighting to get into the country. The reason why I got the image on the thumbnail is like 2 visuals of Elon, because he always say that he's dark MAGA. So what is that dark MAGA? They want winners, they want doers, they want greatness, and he doesn't really kind of politic or like have favoritism. Or Elon Musk is not the one that's gonna fight for the American people. That's Trump. Trump is gonna fight for the American people, but he does utilize specific great usage for Elon. And Elon got an opinion on H-1 visa, but it's just an opinion. It's not something that it's not something that is gonna be like a gun up to Trump's head. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna let this play out and give some context to it, and it'll help get us to where we need to be. So like I said, I'm gonna let an Indian reporter, because I think that's what how it's perceived for liberals and even Vivek and the opposition side to Laura Loomer, Steve Bannon, and it's the referee, and that Trump got a kind of politic in between. But we're gonna put everything in context and not have a theory of what Trump is saying, but what he's doing. Okay, so let's get it started.
Nobody's going to be leaving us.
They're calling it a MAGA civil war. Donald Trump supporters versus other Donald Trump supporters. It's bitter, it's racist, but frankly, it's also predictable. And guess who's caught in the middle of the civil war? The Indian American community. Let me tell you where it all started. Last week, Donald Trump picked an advisor for artificial intelligence. His name is Sriram Krishnan. Now, Krishnan was born in Chennai. He went on to work for many US companies like Microsoft, Twitter, Facebook, and Snap. In 2021, he turned to venture capitalism. He mainly focused on companies working with AI. In other words, he's the perfect pick. He can nudge America's AI policy in the right direction, but Trump's core base is not happy. And what's their issue? Not Krishnan's resume or experience. Their problem is his race. Some Trump supporters do not want an Indian American in the presidential team. They have two problems. One, that Krishnan has Indian heritage. It doesn't sit well with their white supremacy goals. And two, that he supports immigration, specifically with the H-1B visa. Now, H-1B is a special visa category in the US. It mainly covers high-skilled jobs, like engineers or IT professionals or professors. And right now, H-1B visas are capped. There is an upper limit on how many visas can be issued. Sriram Krishnan is in favor of removing the cap, but the far right does not like that. And leading the charge is Laura Loomer. She's a far-right conspiracy theorist. She's also a darling of Trump supporters. Loomer is leading the racist campaign against Krishnan and Indian Americans. She has mocked the IQ of Indians. She also called the H-1B visa applicants third world invaders. But guess who is opposing her? Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, both of them have defended Sriram Krishnan. They're also calling for more foreign talent in America. In fact, listen to what Ramaswamy said. Our American culture has venerated mediocrity over excellence for way too long, a culture that celebrates the prom queen over the math Olympiad champ or the jock over the valedictorian will not produce the best engineers. He basically dissed American culture, and that has riled up the far right even more. You see, the nudge America's AI policy.
And he did diss the culture of America, but how she even read it and how they kind of taken the comment, and she's kind of abbreviating and summarizing what he said, so she's taking it out of context, really. But the reason why I'm playing this is because as a liberal, is pretty much what's the end results of Vivek and Elon Musk's theory about H-1 visa and everything. So the way that she's going about it, they may not feel that way or want that point of view being out there, but no matter what their intentions are, this is what it is. How this lady's looking at it, how she's kind of looking at the white Americans or just purely Americans and Trump supporters are the racist ones, and they're the scum of the earth and everything. That's, you give voice, Elon Musk and Vivek give voice to this persona, and this is why you have to be aggressive on who we choose to have H-1B visas, because really you're destroying America and just our persona and our culture and the way that our arrogance is about us. You magnify the way of the world, global perception of how the world should be. And that's why I don't care how smart Indians or anyone race is, when they come into America, you must assimilate and you must understand that you are here only to advocate and magnify America and America personality and America's will. But if you come in there thinking that we just need you because you're Indian and you Asian or whatever, and you got a high functioning rate and you're highly educated and highly willed, then that may be a way that we give more to the demise of the American constitutional structure of America. And it's kind of almost, I'm for like highly functioning, highly intellectual people, like a lot of people like Elon Musk and a lot of great people with greatness in them coming into America and making America better. But what have we been seeing? A lot of people been kind of taking our personality, taking our culture, taking our way, how we look at things, the greatness and the egomaniacness of America. They've been coming into MIT, they've been coming into our education, and then they leave and they go back to India, they go back to Asia, they go back to Africa, they go and they make the country better, or they kind of teach our mindset and our abilities in tech, because that's all comes from Americans. They ingest it in a lot of the education that's in India, in Asia, in different countries and stuff, and then those people come into our country, and we are so hungry for the way that we taught them how to be American tech people, that they come into our country and they actually make our population different than what our intentions was. So you destroy Black Americans because they're not so good at advancing and evolving. And I'm talking about my own people. I'm talking about my own race. They're not good at evolving and advancing and flourishing, that they become bottom of the dumpster. And then you have Hispanic people rise above, where they're the second class citizen under the white Americans. And now we got more foreigners and different races coming in, and even Black people are falling to fourth class citizens now. And that's is part of me. When I voted for Trump, that's what I'm fighting against. But at the same time, that's the truth. It's just what it is. And I'm not trying to be racist and everything. I think H-1B visas is very important and it plays a factor, but I want you guys to listen to how this woman is reporting India and just how she's calling Americans racist, and she's doing a full blanket over Trump supporters and the MAGA base and all that stuff. So she got a lot of nerve to want her people to come into our country to magnify the value of them, and but at the same time, she's just kind of doing a blanket generalization of Americans and white Americans and Trump supporters and everything like that, where it's a lot of different people in the midst of the Trump movement and mega supporters and stuff like that. So just listen to how she communicates, and you can see, yeah, it's a kind of subliminal message that a lot of Hispanics and a lot of Indian culture and different foreigners that come over here, and they're kind of coming to destroy what we want America to be for what they think it should be. And not all, I'm saying it's a lot of them, and they're in power, and they're actually active, and they in a lot of the ways that they see, and they kind of think they gotta manipulate our politicians and manipulate our hunger for money and all that stuff. It's in Asia too. It's in China. They all are coming into the country. They're setting up themselves. They're setting up the way that they mindset and what the overall goal in the next 10 to 20 years will be. They making moves on it right now. So I know that's a hardcore thing. I don't want you to think that I'm some racist person, but I'm just telling you, it is what it is. Certain cultures, they make up and they raise their kids to destroy the Americanism and put our mindset into a global structure, and it's coming in sneaky ways, and it's just like you gotta watch all that stuff, and it's a little bit more broad spectrum and in the nuances and psychologically manipulating, and it's you gotta watch it. So that's why I'm taking you through this. I hate listening to her talk. I don't like listening to the message that she's sending, but I think she's giving more valid input to what is not been said even by Elon Musk and Vivek, but they don't even know this is what you give power to.
How many visas can be issued? Sri Ramakrishnan is in favor of removing the cap, but the far right does not like that. And leading the charge is Laura.
And
Trump
she's
supporters do not
talking
want
about
an Indian
this
American
guy
picked an
right
advisor
here. Let me
versus
put him
other
on screen. Let me put on him, show you this gentleman, because he's like a powerful Indian gentleman that's pretty high tech. Hit this gentleman right here. His power is so big in the world of tech and AI. And AI, I'm telling you guys, I'm gonna do an episode on AI. That's one of the number one things we need to be focusing on. Was top 3 in my book of what you need to be focusing on for the next year to 4 years during Trump's presidency. How implementation of AI is in your life and how it's going to affect how you make money, who you are, the value of you. So you got to pay very close attention. But this gentleman, he's pretty powerful in it, and he's kind of like one of the major pioneers of like bringing something really powerful and advanced to the AI and tech and everything like that. And he feels like, hey, a lot of Americans are pretty dumb. He's not saying this, and this is not him. This is my interpretation of how Elon and everybody, even Vivek, is looking at it like, hey, you got to bring people like this in. You got to and then if he needs people to come more in from India or wherever to help him make powerful movements in America faster, then you got to make sure that you have the H-1B visas available for him to do that, and him to utilize, and even any high-tech firm or company to be able to utilize the most progressive way to advance America. And he's like, I think this gentleman is getting at least been an advisor to Trump and part of his administration. And I think that's smart for Trump to bring him in, pick his brain, see what he want to implement in the country. But the extra layer of work needs to be done by Trump and his staff to make sure that we're using them, and just for them having historical value and whatever dollar amount of financial salary or investment for the staff and everything that needs to be had is had. But at the same time, we're taking from them more than we giving them power in this country. You get what I'm saying? So I know that's a hard one. For example, there's a lot of companies that the China government make them look like they're individual companies. They come into America and they do business in America, China companies, and then they start buying land and farms and all that stuff. So we have China companies that are actually regulated under the China government buying our land, they buying our farm. You can look this one up. They buying assets, they buying land, they buying a lot of the value in America, where it's not just us taking loans from and paying off our debt with China money. It's that they actually got pieces of our country that's China owned now. You get what I'm saying? So you got to make sure that stops. That whatever investment in technology or whatever any foreigner come over here to help Americans with, that they don't got controlling interests of it, that it's really theirs and they own it. And we sold off a little bit of or more of our actual asset in order to have the perception of advancement. So he just got to have people part of his staff that looks at that and make sure that every contract and every regulation and what's offered to the person, that they can take the money and build their own stuff in their own country if that's what they're trying to do. But if they loyal and they want to become American citizens and they want to live here and they want to thrive here and everything that they have is to remain here and remain ownership of America and how America flourishes, then go right ahead, bring them in and give them H-1 visas because they got great minds, and have them help the country advance itself. Because I think America, we're about 20, 30 years behind. Easy. And technology and building structures and even transportation and technology functionality, we're about 20, 30 years behind. I know that's scary, but that's the truth. If you go to Dubai, you go to China, you go to South Korea, you go to a lot of different countries, you'll see how they everyday function is so advanced to how we function. We're about, like I said, 20, 30 years behind. I really feel you. I really feel that we're more in the late 1990s, early 2000s, instead of really being in 2025. So that's lets you understand why there's a yin and a yang with the H-1B visa. Okay. So let me let this lady go, and we're gonna get more of some clips, and I'm gonna try to get you guys out of here as fast as I can. Okay.
Nobody's going to be leaving us.
They're calling it a MAGA civil war. Donald Trump supporters versus other Donald Trump supporters. It's bitter, it's racist, but frankly, it's also predictable. And guess who's caught in the middle of this civil war? The Indian American community. Let me tell you where it all started. Last week, Donald Trump picked an advisor for artificial intelligence. His name is Sri Ram Krishnan. Now, Krishnan was born in Chennai. He went on to work for many U.S. companies.
And she said they actually picked him. I'm a little bit behind in that, but so he already picked him to be part of the administration. So that's good. It just makes sure that the papers work right.
Companies like Microsoft, Twitter, Facebook, and Snap. In 2021, he turned to venture capitalism. He mainly focused on companies working with AI. In other words, he's the perfect pick. He can nudge America's AI policy in the right direction, but Trump's core base is not happy. And what's their issue? Not Krishnan's resume or experience. Their problem is...
Man, guys, this gentleman, Christian, you guys have to support him and go look him up and watch him and watch his speeches and how he communicates, because it's not his fault that he's an extreme value to the time we're living in. And Trump, I think it would be stupid for Trump not to bring somebody like that. If he's the dude, the number one dude that got the bird's eye view on everything, and he putting his fingers in everything that's got power and AI and an advancement of society and competitiveness with AI and tech, I just think that would have been stupid for Trump. That Trump even got his eyes and his administration and his advisors to actually bring this guy in and put him part of the staff. Smart, really smart. But I get what your concerns are. But let's keep going.
His race. Some Trump supporters do not want an Indian American in the presidential team. They have two problems. One, that Krishnan.
That's all a lie. Nobody's against his Indian. That's just radical people that's part of the campaign, that's part of like the social influencers like Laura Loomer. She don't speak for all the 77 million Trump supporters that voted for Trump, 78 million Trump supporters that voted for Trump. She don't speak for them. So they blanket like how her point of view is on illegal immigrants and the H-1 visa. They blanket everybody on there. She got the right to believe how she wants. It's our foreign situation and our foreign immigration situation is crazy and destructive to America. So she's maybe communicated in a very aggressive, bigoted way, but she has every right. She's an American citizen. She has a right for her opinion. And because she was on the campaign and because she's part of the movement of getting Trump support or Trump elected, don't mean that she's Trump and he listens to her and give validity to what she's going. It's literally just like any company. You take what you take and you throw away what you don't want. You get what I'm saying? And everybody, even Biden is an extreme racist, but a lot of black people and liberals and Jewish people and all of them support Biden, knowing his past is extremely racist. So her Laura Loomer rhetoric is that that she don't want anybody that's not like America. You know what I mean? And maybe I'm even calling her idealism and some of the stuff that she says is very bigoted, but she has every right. I don't care. I don't care how insulted people are. This is America. And the difference between this anchor and me is I fight for her to have her freedom to say whatever the fuck she wants. She's an American citizen with a First Amendment right, and that means anything goes in communication. You don't stop nobody from saying anything. I think our country is ridiculous if we feel like we want to stop people from voicing their opinions. If it's bigot, racist, or whatever, we don't have the right to stop a human being from saying what they want to say. There's consequences for saying it. You get what I'm saying? But if you decide you want to say it, we should be all given room for people to say it, and maybe lose connection with loved ones. They lose sponsorship. They lose like power. You know what I mean? And loved ones or somebody can actually decide that they don't like what they saying and they physically hurt them and stuff. You get what I'm saying? Those are the consequences of saying your freedom of speech, but you have every right to say it. So we should be communicating that no one has the right to hurt anybody or do anything. Americans have the right to say anything that they want to say. The only way you could counteract bad rhetoric is to have rhetoric that you could counteract it with. That's it. So somebody say something, you say something back to them. That's it. It should never go to physical. If I didn't touch you physical, you can't touch me because of something I said. You may not like what I said, but it's just you don't have the right to touch me because now we're physical. Now we're going into the abyss that anything goes physically now. So anything goes communicatively when you're saying something and if it has opposition to what you're saying. So she's living under India and she's living under India news reporting and journalism and her point of view and her analyzation on our conservative values, our American values, our constitutional freedoms, our rights to say what we want to say on Twitter and X or whatever we want to say. But that's our freedom. We don't live in South Africa where Elon Musk come from, or in India where this lady come from. We say what the fuck we want in America. You don't gotta like it. We get to say it because we got a First Amendment right to say it.
Has Indian heritage. It doesn't sit well with their white supremacy goals. And 2, that he supports immigration, specifically with the H-1B visa. Now, H-1B is a special visa category in the US. It mainly covers high-skilled jobs, like engineers or IT professionals or professors. And right now, H-1B visas are capped. There is an upper limit on how many visas can be issued. Sri Ramakrishnan is in favor of removing the cap, but the far right does not like.
Yeah, now if he's kind of saying that, I think she's kind of going overboard, putting words in his mouth or something. But if he's for removing the cap on the H-1B visa, he ain't got no right to talk about that. But I guess he's an advisor, so he can voice his opinion. But you guys got to understand how Trump is and how he negotiates and how he moves and stuff, and he'll do the best for you guys. I really truly believe that, and we'll watch it and we'll monitor it. And there's opposition to it, so people that don't like the policy, don't like the rhetoric that's coming out, and Vivek and Elon Musk, and they don't like what's been communicated. You got opposition. You have Laura Loomer. You have Steve Bannon. You have other people coming out and voicing their opinion in opposition. I'm pretty sure in his administration and his advisors, they got opposition there. And he's going to make the regulations and certain prescriptions that he feels that's kind of getting the best outcome for the country under both sides in their opinion and the advice that they're giving them. And that's what we sent him there for, to listen to the voices and listen to the communication that people saying, and then make his own judgment what's the best outcome.
Like that. And leading the charge is Laura Loomer. She's a far-right conspiracy theorist. She's also a darling of Trump supporters. Loomer is leading the racist campaign against Krishnan and Indian Americans. She has mocked the IQ of Indians. She also called the H-1B visa applicants third world invaders. But guess who is opposing her? Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, both of them have defended Sri Ramakrishnan. They're also calling for more foreign talent in America. In fact, listen to what Ramaswamy said. Our American culture has venerated mediocrity over excellence for way too long, a culture that celebrates the prom queen over the math Olympiad champ or the jock over the valedictorian will not produce the best engineers.
And because, look, guys, the time that we're living in, the nerds are the kingmakers. They're the actual value of society. The tech guys, the cryptocurrency people, the economies, they are the dudes. Okay, and the AI guys and stuff. So we're living in that market. We're not living in like wrestling. That was the 80s and the 90s. We're not living in like the big boxing and stuff like that. That was the past. It's not. The most valuable people in the world is people that are tech savvy, that are advanced in computering and stuff like that. So that's just the way it is. So he's saying this, and I think in the longer comment that he had, because like I said, they are taking these comments out of context and they're abbreviating it, and they're actually rewording what he says. So this is really bad fake news how they reporting it, but I need you guys to hear it from their point of view, so you can see what's the debate and then what's the rhetoric is, and then we're gonna listen to Laura Loomer too. I got audio clips of her and everything, with video clips of her, so we can go through that. But that's how he was he was making a comparison between Saved by the Bell. It was an old show in the 90s and the early 2000s. I think it's the 90s though, but where it was like about a high school, and it was like the jock and the good looking guy and Screech, you know. So it's like they were saying like you pick Mario, I forgot his name. He's an Entertainment Tonight host. He was on there, and the Zach guy. So they were the kind of where people lust over them and wanted to be them. But Screech guy, the little scrawny, nerdy kid, tech kid, he didn't get no play. He was just like the doofus, but he was the most valuable person in today's modern time. So that he was making comparison with different TV shows and different personas that would be the jocks versus the nerds. You know what I mean? So, and then that's what's the Vivek's comment about that. And that's why he was saying, like, you know, our culture and the way that we look at the most valuable people in our society and how we think they weak and think they scrawny and think they like unattractive and all that stuff. That's the bad mindset, because the future is them. So that was his point of view on that. So she's abbreviating it and summarizing it. But when you put people's posts, you got to put their post up. You don't put an abbreviation of their post. That's what this Indian news doing. So that's why I'm telling you guys, it's like America and the First Amendment is, and then what our regulation is for even our news reporters to make sure that they put the real post on the screen. So I just want to put context to why this lady is such a complete idiot in something that. But this is CNN. The way that she's talking, the way that she's moving, the way that she's communicating, the way that she's psychologically manipulating things, it's the way CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS News, a lot of people on Fox News, they do the same thing.
He basically dissed American culture, and that has riled up the far right even more. You see, the original MAGA was made up of conservatives. It even included far-right lunatics like Loomer. They do not like any policy that will increase migration. Instead, they want to focus on American workers.
Absolutely.
But the new MAGA...
Me too. Don't get me wrong, y'all. That's all I care about right now. I think we gave so much of this country away over the last 4 years. It was unbelievable. And people still not getting... it got so crazy that Republicans and conservatives start to compare like how strong President Obama was on destroying and remaking this country, how good he was on fighting foreigners and illegal immigration, that they make it seem like during Obama's presidency, he was kind of like I think something's wrong with my camera. Wow, what happened? Okay, let me see give me 1 second, guys. I'm gonna shut this down for a second and boot right back up.
MAGA is different.
Okay, so I'm back up. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I had to shut it down and boot it back up and catch back up. It seemed like it's just the link stayed tight and everything like that. But what was I talking about? Like Obama, but Obama let a lot of foreign. He kicked a lot of like people that were suspicious, or maybe families, people like single men that came in here without a family. He may probably kick them back out, but he let a man, a woman, and their kids, he let them come right in and become part of the citizenry. And so that's why you have Black Americans at 47 million citizens, and you have Hispanics at 65 million. Like, and we've been here the whole existence of the country. So ask yourself what's going on there. And it's because we're getting replaced. You know what I mean? It's okay. I get it. We got on our knees and we laid on the ground and said, "Uncle." So what happens, what happens. But I'm just saying, you know, it's a little bit more context to like really good immigration policies and advocacy for the American people. And right now, hey, you guys took advantage for the last 20, 30 years. Now it's time for us to focus on American citizen. And I really feel that you should close that whole border. I don't think we should let anyone come in. Now, it's my opinion. That's how I feel about it. I don't think it should be no immigration, none, zero. No H-1B, none, zero. Make sure you figure out the economic structure of the American citizens that's here. And then when we got a good, clean understanding and we actually understand like where the funding should go and where it is, then you could kind of start to welcome people back in. But right now, I think it's too corrupt, it's too shady, it's too blurred. The gray area is insane. So we need to correct this stuff. So that's my feeling of it all. So I know it's a hardcore point of view, but let me let her wrap up. Okay.
Basically dissed American culture, and that has riled up the far right even more. You see, the original MAGA was made up of conservatives. It even included far right lunatics like Loomer. They do not like any policy that will.
Like, she got banners, she got monitors, she got cameras, she got all the bells and whistles, and she's calling an actual subject of her reporting a lunatic. That is not reporting. That's bias. That's subjective news. That's like fake news. It's not real reporting. It's not objective analysis and objective reporting. And this is what we got to fight against. And I'm telling you, even if this India, this is how CNN moves. This is how MSNBC moves. This is how some passive aggressive anchors and commentaries on Fox News moves. This is how ABC News moves. This is how NBC News moves. This is how majority of our reporting and communication of what's going on is reporting. And now you get this crappy lack of objectivity in podcasters and social media influencers that call themselves trying to give you guys the data and the news. So this is a good bird's eye view on it. And that's why I'm showing it to you.
Increase migration. Instead, they want to focus on American workers. But the new MAGA is different. It is dominated by tech bros like Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. Musk himself is a migrant, and Ramaswamy is the son of migrants. For them, the migration problem is limited to Mexico. They do not oppose talented migrants. Right now, we are seeing the clash of these two groups, but frankly, it is not surprising. We saw indications of this when Ramaswamy ran for president. He was more Trumpian than Trump himself.
God is real.
Yet MAGA questioned him. They asked, why should a Hindu become U.S. president? They said Hindu.
Ain't nobody talking, saying that. She probably heard that from one person within the whole movement or some crazy stuff. Ain't nobody saying that. Why dude. I like Vivek. I think he's awesome, but he ain't no MAGA. He ain't what we need in our country. Hell no. Hopefully he learned a lot through this process of him seeing how much we don't play that. No matter what, you can't go against what we want and who we are. We are triple cheeseburgers, Escalade, arrogant ass culture. You get what I'm saying? The kumbaya, the zen, all that crazy stuff, that ain't what's gonna keep this country safe. You like Vivek, he would have threaded some needles that he should not be threading. That's why he didn't get that support. Because the gut of American citizens, we know a choker when we see one. Okay? He may run his company in his own personal life in that way because we live in a society that you pander and you placate, that you part of the broader spectrum of understanding. And you can run a whole company and have successful clients because you don't have a confrontation. He's well elegant. He communicates well. So if he goes into a meeting with a white billionaire, they love the fireness of him. They love the impact of him and his aggressiveness and everything like that. And a white billionaire and millionaires, they gravitate to that. They clink onto that. So that would be good for him in business. You know what I'm saying? But when you got to make sure that Constitution don't get railroaded and totally demolished, it's another thing. It is in the gut of the people. It's in the gut of the people that we will absolutely not compromise. It's one thing to have rhetoric, and it's one thing to do, to have done and move. Like I always say, like how can we believe that Trump is going to fight for our constitutional rights, our First Amendment right, if he don't use his First Amendment right? if every single time he talks it's under the elite and psychological manipulation of how to communicate for the Ivy League or the scholars or some, no, you talk to the American people and you show the American people the way that they communicate, they have a freedom to communicate that way. They can communicate like themselves. They can communicate the way that they feel that the communication needs to be, and that they don't need to do what some elite person thinks is subjective the way or way that you need to present your communication. And come on, Trump has communicated in the most like freedom of speech ways that we know that he ain't against our First Amendment right. You get what I'm saying? His sons are avid gun users, so we know that he ain't messing around with that. You get what I'm saying? So it's certain things that is by your gut and by your action on your everyday, how you move and what your life shows that you're going to uphold those amendments. So Vivek, he knows the Constitution to the back of his hand, but is he actually showing a lot of that in the way that he moved? You get what I'm saying? He got a little passive ways about certain things, and he might have a little blurred lines and gray area that he'll look at certain things where there's no compromise for us. So that's what took away him to be looked at as he's a true MAGA. No, but I'm pretty sure he learned a lot during this campaign. You know what I mean? If you are, you are, and if you ain't, don't act like it, because we know. And you won't get nowhere with that guy. You be the best he got coming for him for the next 10 years, 10, 20 years is he'll be vice president to JD Vance, because that's the way we going.
Hinduism was wicked and pagan. So these fault lines are not new. The euphoria of Trump's victory hid them temporarily, but now they're being exposed. And Donald Trump must take the blame for this. He kept feeding the fire of white supremacy. He villainized migrants for politics, and look at the result. The OG MAGA hates all migrants. Doesn't matter if you're talented, doesn't matter if you're pro-Trump or not. They hate all of them. Because the sentiment is rooted in race and religion. The question is, what happens next? Ideally, Trump should be defending Sri Ram Krishnan. He's defended a number of his other cabinet picks, including a man who allegedly paid for sex with a minor. Yet, Trump is silent on Krishnan. It tells you everything about Donald Trump. This is a man who will do anything for power, even push his own allies under the bus. It's also a wake-up call for tech bros like Elon Musk. They basked in MAGA glory after November, but now they're facing MAGA fury. They're being forced to confront the true reality of Donald Trump's support base. And the best part?
The way that she communicates, that's the end of that idiot, stupid bitch. She's a dumb fucking lady and stuff, but this is MSNBC, y'all. The way that she mimics, the way that she talks, the way that she communicates, the way that her rhetoric is. She's been watching a lot of MSNBC, and she thinks it has validity to it, and it's ridiculous and stuff like that. And you know, Trump made the guy part of his fucking administration, and that's why y'all bitching and moaning about it. So why do he gotta? Excuse my language, I apologize, but why do he have to like go out and advocate for him or do it? And then the Matt Green thing about him paying sex with a minor, that's totally out of context, and it's not true. And you guys need to do your research on that. You get what I'm saying? So it's just ridiculous. The girl in her 20s, they said that she was messing around with him, and she told him that she was a certain age that was older than she actually was. She was 17 years old or something like that. And once he found that out, he stopped messing around with her. But it's a whole lot of other context. I'm just doing a summary of it, and I'm not giving it justice. It ain't no crazy child predator stuff, man. But that she just throw her comments out there like that, and it's just not context is just not given. So let's go to the next clip. And that's why I wanted to show you guys what's been communicated now. So let's kind of start knocking some of this stuff out.
President-elect Trump supporting Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy after the two backed H-1B visas for foreign workers, telling the New York Post, quote, "I've always liked the visas. I've always been in favor of the visas. That's why we have them. I have many H-1B visas on my properties. I've been a believer in H-1B. I've used it many times. It's a great program." Our next guest, though, is not sold on Trump's claims. Joining us now is American Majority founder and CEO Ned Ross.
Okay, we don't need to listen to him, but you get the context of it. So now let's go to some of the major people that are communicating with Trump, like Steve Bannon, and what their opinion is on this stuff. And we'll go deeper into it. And then we'll put it into context. What's the truth and why everybody is going out of context, why they bitching him on and stuff.
It's very hard because this is central. It's not just central to the economics of what they do in Silicon Valley. The hate America crowd, and they hate America, the hate America crowd there. And when I say hate America, they hate the United States of America, the nation state of America, and American citizens. They believe in some sort of techno-feudal situation like was in Italy back, I don't know, in the 14th and 15th century. These kind of city-states. What they want is a network. They want a network where they're like a city-state, control the network. And there's a bunch of serfs that work for them. Not American citizens, but serfs, indentured servants. That's what they want, and they're not going to get that. We're going to win this fight. If you think that this audience in the MAGA movement, the hoplites, the Grundoons, the fixed bayonet crowd that fought the steal of 2020 and then had President Trump's back in the darkest days of 21 and were with him the entire time, particularly because he was right on the basic issues that were causing the destruction of our beloved republic, are going to now, after a massive come-from-behind victory, overwhelming victory, just sit there and roll over while the country's torn apart by oligarchs. It's not going to happen. And I always give full respect to Elon. Elon was absolutely central. Elon understood that this was about getting out low propensity, low information voters, and that the army of people from the Turning Points and from War Room and other groups, you guys that were did the election integrity and then did all the door-to-door canvassing and get the vote, that you were essential. He did write the check, and that gets him a seat at the table. I've said that from the beginning, although I fundamentally disagree with him on major issues like the Chinese Communist Party, like transhumanism, and like the situation around immigration. But they're going to make this bold. Let me just restate something. As a fact, the H-1B visa program is a total and complete scam from its top to the bottom. And Elon's put out this tweet that, all his companies have depended upon that. Now, we'll go dig out the information from public documents and just I'd like you to publish, we would like you to publish every engineer that you've brought in on HB1 visa and let us determine, let's just see the information and see if American citizens could not fill those billets. You're going to find we still haven't seen, if all this going on, have they come forward with any examples? One example from David Sachs to Vivek Ramaswamy to Elon Musk to any of them. Have they come up with examples of these Einsteins that the job could not be done by American citizen? American citizens come first. The problem this country in the last 40, 50 years is not just America hasn't come first, it's America last. It's American citizens last. And guess what? You provide the social structure. You provide the underpinnings. You are Burke's little platoons. As I say over and over again, in the Lions Club, and the Kiwanis Club, and the churches, and the Little Leagues, and the cops, and the teachers, and all of it, the PTAs, all of it. That's stability that is underneath American society. And that's America crowd.
And the reason why I'm allowing him to go off on this, because he's absolutely right about all this, and the way that he communicates is very accurate and stuff. But even just how Elon Musk crazy stuff that he was saying in that in that post that he had is really like, dude, calm down, man. Like, ain't nobody, we grateful for that you wrote $250 million checks to Trump to make sure that he got through if he needed it, he got through the money game that the Democrats was playing and everything like that. But you calm your fucking ass down with the saying if you're against H-1B visa, fuck you and go fuck yourself. You get what I'm saying? Like, to putting a tweet out like that. And I'm trying to go back to it so I can read it to you guys, because he out of his damn mind talking like that. You get what I'm saying?
And then did all the door-to-door canvassing and get the vote. That, you were essential. He did write the check, and that gets him a seat at the table. I've said that from the beginning, although I fundamentally disagree with him on major issues like the Chinese Communist Party, like transhumanism, and like the situation around immigration. But they're going to make this bold. Let me just restate something. As a fact, the H-1B visa program is a total and complete scam from its top to the bottom. And Elon's put out this tweet that, all his companies have depended upon that. Now, we'll go dig out the information from public documents.
Okay. So I want you guys to look at this, because this is why, like, if people have an opposition to the H-1B visas, they got an opposition on the H-1B visas. I want you guys to debate it and have it out. But when you start to respond to a radical podcaster and stuff, and you're in the room with Trump and you talking to Trump and he's telling you he supports a certain structure of the H-1B visa, that he's gonna make it where the great minds are evaluated to if they should be here or not, to respond on Twitter as the reason I'm in America alone with so many critical people who built SpaceX, Tesla, and hundreds of other companies that made America strong is because of H-1B. Take a big step back and fuck yourself in the face. I will go to war on the issue, on this issue, the likes of which you cannot possibly comprehend. Do you understand that? That's like generalizing a statement like that, okay? Yeah, if H-1B visa helped make SpaceX and Tesla, and then he's kind of taking a foreigner's mindset of it. He's kind of saying, hey, you guys, America would be nothing if I didn't come over here and show you guys how to make an electric car. You guys would be nothing if I didn't show you how to be explorations of space again. You'd be a loser. And you lucky that I'm here, because I'm the only reason why America is strong, why America has value. That's what he put in here. That's what he's put in here. And he's saying, like, F anybody if you're against, or go F yourselves in the face if you are against H-1B visa. And that's like, a dude, like, can we debate this? Can we look at all the data? And just like Steve Bannon said, let me look at the day that you hired your engineers and specific engineers and scientists and everything, and then let's go into the country and see that people went out and graduated from MIT, graduated from college, graduated from stuff, and they were actually, their acumen and their functionality is in the same level. And could you have hired them instead of getting a foreigner to come into the country to help you with SpaceX and Tesla? That's what we're saying. We want to know, hire to hire. Could it be, did you really need to hire a foreigner to do this job? And Steve Bannon's theory is, if you do that, if you go to see who you hire compared to the people that's in the country, and if you seeked out the employment, if you put that resume out, if you put that that hiring out to the people that could do the job, did you really need to do it? And most likely you didn't. That's the theory coming from Steve Bannon. I'm saying that's a debate that is worth having. So for you to go in the scorched earth, like, I would destroy everything, I would destroy myself, I would destroy this country, I'm a Elon Musk with the multiple billionaires, and you can't stop me from what I want. To have that that's an enemy mindset, and that's where that dark MAGA stuff come in, where it's elitist. It's a enemy that's there, and that's why Trump got to make sure that he gives control of himself to put Elon in his place when it comes up. I'm not saying it came up, and that's a crazy text for him to, tweet or X for him to send. So he sent that X out, and now by you sending this X out, this message you put on X, you allow for us to analyze your psychosis and making that actual text. And it's plain in words. It can only be hypothesized a certain way. Functions, periods and commas are where they at. So I'm telling you, it's an adversarial foreigner's perception. That's the whole argument. That if you were to make this balloon into our most prominent positions in our society, politicians and Fortune 500 companies and everything like that, where will we be in the end? Will we even have control of our own country and the direction that it goes, and who has in the ideology that's will be mandated onto the citizens if we let just our need for advancement and our hunger for great things going on in the country and advancement in the country, what would it be if we just let this go rampant? And that's the argument. So him talking like that is not, that don't play good to your side, and hopefully Trump, allows him to communicate what he want to communicate, but understand that that's a move on the chessboard.
But I'd like you to we would like you to publish every engineer that you've brought in on HB1 visa and let us determine, let's just see the information and see if American citizens could not fill those billets. You're going to find we still haven't seen, if all this going on, have they come forward with any examples? One example, from David Sachs to Vivek Ramaswamy to Elon Musk to any of them. Have they come up with examples of these Einsteins that the job could not be done by American citizen? American citizens come first. The problem this country in the last 40, 50 years is not just America hasn't come first, it's America last. It's American citizens last. And guess what? You provide the social structure. You provide the underpinnings. You are Burke's little platoons. As I say over and over again, in the Lions Club, and the Kiwanis Club, and the churches, and the Little Leagues, and the cops, and the teachers, and all of it, the PTAs, all of it. That's stability that is underneath American society. And that society is what we generate, what we call the right stuff, because it comes from grit, it comes from determination, it comes from some, you can't even put your finger on it, but if somebody's got it. Absolutely. Somebody call that jock culture. What Vivek's arguing for is to go to valedictorian. No, bro, we've seen the world. We've seen what happens when we go to valedictorian culture. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not having ruled by nerds. This is not at the end of the day about having.
And the funny part about that ruled by nerds, I think that's really good, because I think that is what it is. And the crazy part about it is, it's like the female feminist culture too. It's like women are saying, "Oh, I'm tired of loser mans or beta mans and all that stuff like that, and we want real men, we want alphas, we making our own bag, we're our own bosses," and they act like they're talking about something that just happened, or like it's some new movement. This is how it's been for the last 40, 50 years. Women have felt like they wanted more prominence in society, and men have taken a back seat, or they retract themselves, or they neutered or castrated themselves in order to magnify women. Otherwise, you have men dominating you on every turn. So they did that for the last 40, 50 years, and now y'all complaining about it. And the complaining is in opposition of men saying, effective of 2020, no more of this stuff. This ain't working out. we still getting divorced, and we getting divorced even more, and we're not having babies, and we're doing more abortions, and it's a total destructions to the families that do have kids, or the interaction between men and women that do have kids. It's more dysfunction to that. You get what I'm saying? And that has been the makeup. So how women wanted society to be, they had it for 40, 50 years, and they're complaining about it. Just like we allowing the weaker of our society, the liberal of our society, people that had no power, that had no influence of society because it was hard, dominant, and sturdy men in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s. They subdued themselves, and who magnified themselves? Very metrosexual guys, egomaniacs, imagery, conscious men. And that's the society we have now, where a lot of like not nerd culture, but at the same time the weaker of men have been in prominent position. The stockbrokers, the tech billionaires, the accountings, the lawyers, all that stuff. That's who's been in prominence. So it's almost like that's the bigger picture of the nerd culture. You know, the nerds are not always just nerdy, techie scientists and stuff. It's all that. It's all that and everything. And that's the society we have. And it's been this country has been destroyed in the last 40, 50 years because of that. So now what it is, warriors have to come and take prominence back and take control back of their households, of their relationships, of how the economics is and how business is ran, and who's and just a stable society of how we interact with each other is that everybody got to turn on this more dominant, and it's almost like you either win or lose, because that's in order to rehabilitate our society from elite society. It's almost like we gotta draw blood in order, and I'm talking metaphorically, but we gotta draw blood and dominance in order for good people to take some accountability and some responsibility for the radicalness of our culture. I think we're down the rabbit hole. I think America's done and destroyed, and the little moments that Trump is going to be able to or policies that he's going to be able to put in place for the next 4 years that might actually help us for the next 10, 20 years in our own personal economical position. But the country as a whole and our society and our culture is destroyed. Unless you got I think we're going to need about 10 to 20 years in order to really make it America again. So I know I'm in the weeds with it. So let's go to Laura Loomer's conversation with Bannon, and I'm gonna try to get you guys through this as fast as I can.
Joins us by phone. Laura, what is this really about? You've been at kind of the tip of the spear here, and they're trying to shut you down. But what is this? Pull back for a second and frame this argument. What is this actually about, ma'am?
So what you have is, ever since 4 months ago, when President Trump was almost assassinated in Butler, you have the most vitriolic and censorious leftist billionaires and privileged executives in Silicon Valley deciding that after censoring and silencing President Trump and the MAGA base for the last 8 or 9 years, they want to have a seat at the table. And why do they want a seat at the table? Because they want to skirt accountability in the incoming Trump administration after doing everything in their power to stop President Trump from getting elected. And they also want to influence our immigration policy. And so I've been calling this out from the get-go, been very critical of the big tech executives walking into Mar-a-Lago like they're trying to buy influence with their $1 million checks, and coming around after being vitriolic towards President Trump. And the question is, and your previous guests this morning have the same questions, why are these people who have a history of hating President Trump all of a sudden trying to dictate us on our immigration policy and telling us that we're stupid, we're not the best and brightest, we have to import people to do the job?
Joins us by
and so yeah, she's, and I'm gonna say already, because I know her. I know Laura Loomer. I like her. I think she's aggressive. You get what I'm saying? I think she's very aggressive, but she is a loon. She's a wild, radical person. So I know that's offensive to call her a loon, but at the same time, she's pretty wild. But I do like her. I do like her edge. I do like the aggressiveness of her and stuff. So I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you. But her thing is that it's almost like it's a personal like thing. Like, why you got them in the room? Why you got them part of the thing? Why you got them having such a voice? And Trump has always been known to have his enemies in the room, and he kind of see how everybody's looking at certain things, and then he makes his decision. And most of the time, the decision is hardcore and it's logical, and it's just is what it is. So that he got Elon Musk and Vivek and the Mr. Christensen, the Indian engineer AI guy, doesn't mean that they win the narrative. But she's saying that they shouldn't even be in the room because they didn't like him because Elon Musk wasn't even for Donald Trump until he seen that it was a highly possibility that he will win and that he was the only option. So it almost like the voters made, just like the Republican Party, the voters made Elon Musk and Vivek and all them have to submit to who we want and submit to Donald Trump because he won and he keeps winning, and that's who we want, and they're there to make sure that they're in the room with who we want, but they actually don't like who we picked. So, and the history shows that, and she's kind of saying, why all of a sudden do like even if they helped you through the campaign and all the other stuff, you're giving them too much prominence, you're giving them too much space and giving them too much voice in the room. And she got to understand that's the game, and Trump knows how to play it, and he knows what to use them for and what to throw away, and you just got to understand that. And this is the big boy stuff. This is the high elite. We have CIA, FBI, we have some criminal, crazy people that want to destroy Trump and want to kill him and murder him. So let him play the chess game how he got to play it. Well, he already showed that he got grit, and he'll look in the eyes of his enemy and still make the move he should make. So I'm not going to look at the value of Trump to people that's on a podcast, on a social media influencing, or on journalists, media voicing their opinion, but they absolutely didn't put their life on the line like Trump has. So I'll leave what's going to happen with the H-1B visa, and I'll see what direction Trump goes into. And if we have to criticize it, we'll criticize him. We'll speak loudly, and people are speaking loudly about it already. I'm talking about the citizens are. So let that play out in the conversation that Trump is having with the citizen, instead of people being fire starters and we kind of go into a depression and that we want to throw away and burn everything before we even get into the work we really need to do. You get what I'm saying? This H-1B visa thing is really like maybe 10th or 11th on the agenda that I would even think of it. But it's such a prominent position because of all you guys. You guys are part of the swamp. Laura Loomer's part of the swamp. Steve Bannon's part of the swamp. Even Rush Limbaugh was part of the swamp. Even if you guys have a actual basis towards the people and towards Trump policies, you're still pretty much part of the swamp because you're so integrated into the political jargon and the political mindset and the political ideology and how to manipulate stuff and who to listen to and what strategies to do and what strategies. You're so into that it's just not black and white with you. Trump is black and white, very black and white with him. You get what I'm saying? You know, everybody complains about it because he's not like sneaky and manipulating and all that other stuff. He just what it is. If he's making a decision on this, he listens to the information and he makes a decision. It's not about tactical things. I should make the decision because if I make this wrong decision, then CIA is gonna hate me or the Pentagon's gonna hate me or they're gonna try to put me in jail. He made those decisions and they still prosecuted him. So that's how it is. So I know I'm in the weeds with it, but let's listen to her. and let her communicate what she's trying to say.
Of hating President Trump, all of a sudden trying to dictate us on our immigration policy and telling us that we're stupid, we're not the best and brightest. We have to import people to do the jobs in tech. We have to have foreigners now work with David Sachs, who didn't even support President Trump in the primary, right? These are people who supported Ron DeSantis and said that President Trump was too old and that he was likely going to go to jail and not survive his indictments. These are the
Yeah, and he knows that, and hopefully he does know that. Hopefully he got, not for me, even me saying hopefully he died, I'm letting her have the narrative. And the truth of the matter is people like Stephen Miller been with Trump the whole way through. From 2015 to now, the whole way through. And he's really sharp, and he knows who the enemy is. And him and Trump talks about every single enemy. The passive aggressive ones, all the way to the true enemies. So I'm pretty sure he knows who's talked behind his back and who's there because he's a winner and he won, and they just submitting right now, but they really don't got a real integrity to loyalty. He kind of knows who it is, and he's using them for what he need to use them for, and that's just the way it is. But she's kind of very emotional about it because she ain't got to make no policies. She ain't got to like do business and get bills passed and make sure that you don't just say what you're going to do for the American people, but you need to find a way to actually execute on it. She don't have to do that. She just say rhetoric. So she gets offended by the visuals and the situations that are kind of people that's around, but they ain't got no prominent position. The people that got prominent position, that's actually the department's head, they're exactly who we want there.
People that are being welcomed into the White House. And so this all started because I posted.
Who cares if they get welcomed into the White House? They're there to manipulate situations that need to be manipulated. They're not department heads. They're not the shot callers.
A tweet about this guy Saram and pointed out the fact that he has been donating to Democrats, including pro-impeachment and pro-indictment Democrats like Ro Khanna, who said that President Trump should be impeached 1 month before the presidential election. And now we're watching these people who have never had an interest in President Trump, who donated to his political opponents over the years, supported Hillary Clinton, supported Ro Khanna, now trying to influence our policy. And the tech bros don't want accountability, Bannon. That's what this is about. They don't like when people shed a light.
Yeah. But hang on one second. By the way, Ro Khanna has got the take on economic nationalism because economic patriotism. I'm not so sure the guy that gave him a check really totally understands his economic policies, which is really kind of America first. But let me go back to Elon Musk. And I've said this over and again because he and I have a lot of disagreements, and particularly on transhumanism and the CCP. But, Laura, when the campaign had no money, the outside groups ran the ground game. You know this. You were there. He wrote a $250 million check starting in, every month starting in July. We would not have had the ground game victory we had, the 50-some plus million people that showed up on mass mobilization, if Elon didn't write that check. I mean, how do you deal with that? That the fact that he's going to be at the table because he's one of the most important guys that back President Trump financially, and in his engineering mind, he didn't spend the money on ads. He went right back and supported, Charlie Kirk's efforts, our efforts, your efforts, everybody to get out the vote. How do you square that, ma'am?
Well, you can have a seat at the table, but why are Trump loyalists and people who have actually had skin in the game since the beginning not allowed to criticize or even report on the history and the nature of the people that are now being appointed to work in the Trump administration? This is about freedom of speech. This is about holding truth to power. And this is about being able to speak truth to power and speak truth about unelected billionaires who now want to pretend like they are president. And a lot of people are concerned about this. It's not just Democrats that are concerned about the level of influence that technocratic billionaires are having walking into Mar-a-Lago and trying.
So she got triggered like with the MSNBC and them. For the last couple of weeks, MSNBC and them been saying that Elon Musk is the president and Trump is letting him make decisions. And Trump, they almost kind of make it look like Trump is like a flunky for Elon Musk or something like that. They've been saying it and having rhetoric and psychological warfare, and just putting that out there to give a divide between them, to give a friction between Trump. So Trump got to come out and say, hey, no, I'm the president. I'm not listening to nobody. They all working for me. They all supporting me and everything like that. They want him to be doing that on a day-to-day basis. So they keep throwing out these newspaper articles. They keep going on the news, and they're doing these 18 to 20 hour reports about him being a flunky for Elon Musk, and Elon Musk is the real president and stuff. And she's getting triggered by this, saying, why is he like this? Why is it like that? Why are they saying that? Why are you allowing them to be like that? And Trump is like, hey, they just trying to create a wedge between us, but everybody know what's going on. You know what I mean? So she's getting triggered by it, and she actually fell into the trap. That's what this is. So that's kind of just let you guys know why she's kind of having a rhetoric. We don't really have to listen to her talk forever about it. But while she's bitching and moaning about it, and this is all ideology about H-1B visas and all that stuff like that, let's show what Trump actually did. Before Trump left, he tightened up H-1B visas to make it harder for people to get them, and put more restrictions on people. So this is all like rhetoric, but the truth of the matter was, he was actually doing some real hardcore stuff. You get what I'm saying? That people were complaining about what he was doing. So let me show you some of that, so we can put it in real context of what's going on. Where is it at? I'm trying to find it. Boom. Is it here? Here. Okay, this is about him doing an executive order on it in 2020.
We believe jobs must be offered to American workers first. Does that make sense? Right now, widespread abuse in our immigration system is allowing American workers of all backgrounds to be replaced by workers brought in from other countries to fill the same job for sometimes less pay. This will stop. American workers have long called for reforms to end these visa abuses, and today their calls are being answered for the first time. That includes taking the first steps to set in motion a long overdue reform of H-1B visas. Right now, H-1B visas are awarded in a totally random lottery, and that's wrong. Instead, they should be given to the most skilled and highest paid applicants, and they should never, ever be used to replace Americans. No one can compete with American workers when they are given a fair and level playing field, which has not happened for decades. We're using every tool at our disposal to restore the American dream. In fact, when it comes to wasteful, destructive, job-killing regulations, we are going to use a tool you all know very well. It's called the sledgehammer.
Okay, so that was what his rhetoric was in his first term, and an executive order that he actually signed to tighten up H-1B visa. Okay, but don't take my word for it. Take India's.
We're joined by Vikram Ahuja, the co-founder of Talent 500 by ANSR, which is a talent acquisition company for Fortune 500 companies. Welcome, Mr. Ahuja, on this broadcast. We're just trying to take a look at how this new executive order that has been signed by President Donald Trump, and what kind of an impact that will have on people, especially from the IT industry, who are eyeing a place for themselves in the job market.
Well, to be honest, I think it's part of a continuing policy by the American government to start to uplift a battered economy in the wake of COVID-19. Certainly not surprising, given that President Trump has already indicated a ban on H-1B earlier and indicated future moves to protect American or local employment. So from that standpoint, it's not very surprising. But I think from an impact perspective, if you look at the way work, or at least federal work, was being given out to third parties, there were certainly certain restrictions. For example, things like defense or security would not have been contracted out anyway. We're talking about things like education or healthcare that might have had some exposure to, for example, services firms and particularly Indian talent. So some of that will be impacted, primarily on-site work. We've been saying from the beginning that this is a tremendous opportunity for us to actually leverage India as a destination for technology development and for local tech talent to start building in India. I think H-1B was always about availability of talent. So this doesn't necessarily solve that. But what it does do is it probably keeps some of that talent in India from traveling out or, looking at on-site opportunities. And it gives us an opportunity to build locally for global companies out of India.
See, and now he's talking about keeping because the way that the new because this was executive order that actually Trump put into law, and he made sure that you couldn't and even the gentleman from India, he's a big corporate like a corporate pretty much India employees and technology and all the other stuff, and he's kind of saying, hey, this just makes it where we're not just sending out Indian engineers and everything for America. They're forced to stay in India, and that means that we just got to make sure that we find a place and work and build the industry that we have in India. That's what he's saying. Okay, so that just let you guys know, Lord Loomer talking crazy like Trump don't got no history to this. You get what I'm saying? Now, even in India, they tell you specifically how Trump is doing an H-1B visa. You ain't gonna just get any job you want in America, and we just importing jobs from India into the country. You got to be specific, and you got to have a H-1B visa for a specific reason that enriches our country and make our country better. And then you under certain restrictions to make sure that we ain't just getting used. That's what Trump was saying in his speech and everything, and he actually signed the executive order to it. So just look up the executive order and you'll understand it. But I'm gonna do a couple of clips just to let you know that this is in 2020 when he did two executive orders. He passed the bill in the executive order in 2017, and he did one in 2020 before he left, and they still in play. And when he get back in the White House, he'll make sure that those policies play. We already know how he's going to attack the H-1B visa. So everybody acting like he hasn't communicated how he looks at it and who he's giving the visa to. He's giving it to very, very worthy people, and in the negotiation of the battlefield, we got to give it to them, and we got to get them here doing what we need them to do and use their talent for our benefit. And that's what he's saying. So just let them. That's why I say it's the rhetoric and the commentary about H-1B visas is out of context. You got to have the bill. You got to have the executive orders that he actually signed. You got to read them, and then you got to understand the game then and what's the conversation then. Not no rhetoric from people that's just online talking crazy, or even Vivek or even Elon Musk. They know how Trump actually used the people that they actually got coming into the country. But at the same time, that's why they said Elon Musk and the Indian gentleman want to open it up, because they know that's beneficial for American people the way that Trump want to do it. But Trump said, hey, I'll let them know I'm good with H-1B visa, but it's under the best for us and the best for American citizens. So that's what that is, okay? So let me play another clip. They get like all this intro stuff. Come on.
Let's begin with U.S. President Donald Trump, who has yet again spoken out on the H-1B visa issue. Trump took to Twitter And I quote him here, H-1B holders in the US can rest assured that changes are soon coming which will bring both simplicity and certainty to your stay, including a potential path to citizenship. We want to encourage talented and highly skilled people to pursue career options in the US, unquote.
So he's keeping it general, and this is way before he started doing all the executive orders and stuff like that. And once he did it, he's just letting people know, like, hey, there's certain ways that we're going to make sure that you make a career in our country. He's not just letting people come here and do all kind of stuff, and then it doesn't enrich our company. It doesn't give, like, for everyone a great H-1B visa holder, that they don't actually make it possible for 10 to hundreds of people to get employed because of the work that they're actually doing. Go look at the executive order, y'all. Y'all got to do your homework on this stuff, okay? So I'm gonna play one more clip to kind of solidify my point on this, and pretty much what the debate is. You get what I'm saying? I think we're pretty much almost done though, but let's kind of go to quick conversation here. Yeah, this is like a gentleman that pretty much does.
Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome to another video. Unfortunately, this is a bad one, or a bad news. We made a video last week, or a couple videos, to talk about the speculation and rumors that Trump is going to suspend OPT and H-1B and things like that. There is an executive order which he passed today and talks about a limitation, suspension, and travel ban on certain visa categories, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about in this video. Comment section, and I will ask that question, I will ask that cases to my immigration lawyer, to the immigration lawyer which I'm going to meet tomorrow, so that they can answer your case or your situation. Now let's talk about what is this executive order and how does this impact you, and if this impact you at all or not. If you read the first few paragraphs, the whole argument is that they're justifying that this order is because of the economic crisis which USA is going through, and there is more than 20 million people who are unemployed right now, and to save the economy and to give the jobs to Americans, they want to put this ban because of that, so that the jobs will be preferred to Americans first, then international or immigrants. The executive order is.
So look, pay attention to this, y'all. This is what Trump did before he walked out of that White House. So the things that he actually did with the H-1B visa and all the rhetoric of that, he just giving it to anyone. This is his policy, and this is his policy when he get back in there, because he put, even during Biden he didn't even take these H-1B visas restrictions away. He kept it into play.
About suspension and limitation of travel and entry into United States. This order is applicable until December 31st, 2020, and after that they will be reviewing this order to see if they remove this order or they continue this order, depending on the economic situation of United States. This executive order only applies to certain visa categories. I'm going to read through some categories. I do want to mention this does not apply to F1 visa category. Majority of my audience is in F1 visa category or OPT. This does not apply to you. Alright, the category goes like this. The first one is H-1B and H-2B, and it also adds a language saying that any alien accompanying to fall to such alien, which means H-4B, because H-4B is most likely the dependent visa for H-1 visa. Second category which is impacted by this executive order is J visa category. There are several categories in J visa category. I'm going to read through the ones which are impacted. Intern, trainee, teacher, camp counselor, AU pair, or summer work travel program, and any.
And I'm not going to, what he's saying is that they really taking it away from people that are not there for higher purposes, like really engineers or doctors or something like that. But travel programs, all that stuff is done. No H-1B visas for that. That's all restricted right now and all that stuff. And like I said, these are actual policies that Trump put in against H-1B visa. But like I told you in this first executive order that he did in 2017,
in a totally random lottery, and
he's telling you exactly how he looks at H-1B visas and how he attacks it. So let me play this again so you can see. If you want to know how what his policy is gonna be on it, it's gonna be like this.
He offered to American workers. We believe jobs must be offered to American workers first. Does that make sense? Right now, widespread abuse in our immigration system is allowing American workers of all backgrounds to be replaced by workers brought in from other countries to fill the same job for sometimes less pay. This will stop. American workers have long called for reforms to end these visa abuses, and today they're
meaning that jobs for picking fruit and all this stuff like that, cleaning hotel rooms, all that stuff like that, that we were giving H-1B visas for people to come into the country to do those specific jobs, is done. It's stopped. This is his policy. This is what he even said he would do on the campaign trail, and it's part of his actual policy. Even on, this is in 2017 when he gave this speech, he literally came straight in and did it. Okay, and that played all the way through, even through the pandemic. Now, the pandemic even hit higher everybody. It went a real blanketed where not even engineers they would let in. Okay, but then they used the pandemic. He used the pandemic to say, hey, we got 20 million people that we got to get back in employment. And so we can't even allow you guys to take jobs from and giving people jobs back with the 20 million people. So how long would it have took for people to get hired and re-put into work for the workforce with the 20 million people? That would have took a year or so. So obviously they kept that policy in place, and it was his intention to keep the policy in place. That's common sense. But let's not even talk about that. Let's talk about what he did when he got in there in 2017 and he did this. What his policy is, and I tell you, to this day, this is how he believed that if we do give H-1B visas to great engineers and scientists and all that stuff, it's under this guide. So that's why I'm playing this clip for you again, so you guys we can end this podcast, we can end this episode with you understanding how he's gonna implement H-1B visa. And he doesn't understand why he got to really say this, because he got a record on this.
We believe jobs must be offered to American workers first. Does that make sense? Right now, widespread abuse in our immigration system is allowing American workers of all backgrounds to be replaced by workers brought in from other countries to fill the same job for sometimes less pay. This will stop. American workers have long called for reforms to end these visa abuses, and today their calls are being answered for the first time. That includes taking the first steps to set in motion a long overdue reform of H-1B visas. Right now, H-1B visas are awarded in a totally random lottery, and that's wrong. Instead, they should be given to the most skilled and highest paid applicants, and they should never, ever be used to replace Americans.
Meaning that they're not, if obviously an engineer, a scientist, a major doctors, or some high functioning applicant, if obviously they're going to get paid like $300,000, $400,000 a year, $1 million a year. So such like that, big tech engineers and everything like that, they get paid so much money that they're awarding it to that kind of those people that can actually accomplish those goals for American companies. But they won't be using it for anybody that's getting paid $40,000 or whatever that will be actual everyday American citizens working. They're not going to allow unlimited of people to come in to take jobs from regular American citizens. You have to have a specific, like a sore thumbnail or a sore thumb that you stick out like a sore thumb that you actually like get a H-1B visa. He's saying his policy saying they're going to be specific. And I'm telling you this, he's giving you a speech before he actually signed the executive order. But this is after the executive order, and this is part of his policy to make sure that when they treat H-1B visa, especially with this debate with Laura Loomer and Elon Musk and all that stuff, they're not going to let Elon Musk and them just let unlimited people come in. They got to be the best of the cream of the crop, and they got to be of value, and their career got to be here. And their economical standing and what they do with their money got to be here. I'm telling you, that's what he's going to put in place. Especially if you go look up Stephen Miller. This is his guy that keeps him tight on immigration and how to deal with foreigners coming into this country and taking money from the citizens and taking the money from the country. Look him up. That's his right-hand man on this stuff. And he's been there every step of the way. And they talk to each other. They speeches and everything. That's what Stephen Miller does. So I'm gonna let him finish this about 30 seconds more, and then we're wrapping this up.
No one can compete with American workers when they are given a fair and level playing field, which has not happened for decades. We're using every tool at our disposal to restore the American dream. In fact,
okay, I'll leave it there because the other one, he started to talk about something else, and you need the longer version to kind of go into that. But look, this is the truth of the matter. Everything else is just crazy rhetoric and opposition and psychological warfare on how powerful Trump is going into the White House right now. They're trying to take that away. The liberals trying to build like major conflict between them to try to manipulate how Trump is winning so much, and they just innocent bystanders watching this man win. And they trying to create a divide between Elon Musk and Vivek and Trump because they know that is destroying anything that the American people is so behind what these guys gonna do. But don't worry, Elon Musk and Vivek, they're whores for us. The reason why we using them is for the actual Doge. It's for the Doge. It's for them to go and look at every nickel and dime that's been spent and save money. That's the primary reason of coming in. Not no F1, not no H-1B visa. He's not going to allow them to change the mandate of what their purpose is. He supports H-1B visa, but under certain conditions, Trump supports H-1B visa. But that's not a mandate. That's not something that he even care about what their opinion is on. But he's not trying to create conflict when the reason why he's bringing them in is for Doge. It's for balancing or at the same time going in and cutting waste spending in the government. So don't let the media, don't let propaganda, don't let the rhetoric of radical people take you guys out of how much of a whore Elon Musk and Vivek is for what we need them for. And there are Doge whores. That's what their job is. That's what we paying them for. And that's it. And they're not getting paid for it. I'm just using philosophical rhetoric. Okay. But that's what they are. They Elon Musk and Vivek is our Doge whore, not our immigration whore. We're not putting immigration policies in the hands of Vivek or Elon Musk. They can have rhetoric about it all they want, but that's not what they point. And I'm pretty sure that's what Trump is communicating to them. Okay. Thank you guys. This is the last podcast I'm doing for today. And I guess we got to do some more tomorrow, but I got a lot of work I got to catch up on. Thanks for joining me on this. This is Individual Perspective Podcast. I'm your host, Daris D. McKinney. Please follow, like, and subscribe, guys. Hit that support us with $1, $2 in our actual Vimeo and our PayPal. We need the support. We're leveling up our podcast. We want to have panels on here and everything like that, but we're trying to get things going. So if you guys can, show some support, show some love to us. I'll speak to you guys soon. I'll speak to you next one. My name is Daris D. McKinney. This is Individual Perspective Podcast, where the truth is the objective truth. Okay, check you guys out.